Hi, everybody. This is Janet again. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be telling you about this vintage vanity makeover that I did in March and April of 2025. I found it on Facebook Marketplace. It was so beat up, it had not matching legs, and the top of it was pretty water damaged. This is an antique vanity from the 1920s. It even came with this cool bench. The bench didn't have a seat, so I knew I'd have to fashion that out of plywood and a cushion. No problem. The biggest challenge would be this beautiful veneer, very damaged, especially on the left side. This is the beginning of my repair, and I knew it would be a layered patch, little by little. Before I even cleaned it, I would have to make it level. You saw the legs. Some of them have those old-fashioned casters on them. Some of them are makeshift legs that they just stuck in there. They were wobbly and didn't stay in place. You can see that it was either stored outside or in a barn, not really paying attention to how water might damage it. Most of the veneer had been lifted up, in some need of repair. The legs on the back were straight, but the ones that they had improvised looked like fairly close, but they used weird stuff to make them stick inside of that hole that they had. So, guess what? Had to make it stick. Has anyone ever taken casters off before? These were rusted into place. I like old-fashioned casters, but these didn't even move. That's how messed up they were. They were rusted, and they took a lot of elbow grease to get off of this piece. Like I said, when I first got the piece, the veneer was very puckered, especially on the top left-hand side. I wanted to try to salvage it, so I used a heavy-duty wood putty with rosin, and it settled in, but I had to do a lot of layers of this. I used TSP to clean the whole piece. It was dirty. It had dirt in it. So I had just come home from church and jumped right in. So it was a beautiful piece, but it had been stored like someone didn't care about it. The veneer had a lot of damage. I was going to try to save as much as I could, but I knew I couldn't save all of it. Layers and layers of correction, especially for the top. The only way to do it is in spurts. This is probably my 4th or 5th layer. It has to make an incredible bond. I removed the back where the mirrors would rest and scrubbed it down before I started the gluing. The very back, which would face a wall, had a little bit too much damage, so I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on that patch. It took a lot of glue before I could actually make this veneer stick down. And then, even then, I wondered if I was going to be able to save it. At this point, it's almost like triage. I did the best I could, and then put down some wax paper and sealed it with a kiss and a brick. So here I am taking it off, the brick off. Mario and I met at Carnegie. This is as good as it could seal up. I knew I'd have to sand it down and add some wood putty, but I thought it came out pretty well. So I took a washcloth that I really didn't care about and a steam iron and decided to remove the back of the bridge, I guess, the veneer on the bridge that would hold the mirror in place. And because the contact glue had made such a good bond with the wood, gluing the veneer to the wood, this helped bring it back up. If you can't see, this is dated February 28th, 1927. That's cool. This is interesting. The C.C. Belknap Glass Company was a manufacturer of glass products in Seattle, and it was founded in 1907 by Charles C. Belknap. The company contributed to the construction of many buildings in Seattle, including the elaborate stained glass window at O'Day High School. So this is from the Pacific Northwest. It's very interesting to find the history of these things. The rest of the trifold mirror was as beautiful. Just had to do some quick repairs before I started refinishing the wood. I had to make a whitewash. I took a pearly white from a color sample that I had and mixed about, 4 parts water with 1 part paint. Remember, this is just a very simple whitewash paint. There's no real great formula. After sanding the frames of these mirrors, I started whitewashing because I knew that even with all of the stripping that I did and the intricate sanding detail, this wood was going to pull up some tannins that would come out orange, which isn't so popular right now. Here's the before and after sanding. And then the ones on the right and the middle have been whitewashed. Okay, getting the legs ready for the whole process of paint. It's essential to get them sanded down so that nothing remains. Legs tend to be resistant to paint anyway. Some things that you don't notice, this was missing some drawer stops. I had to order them specially to put in the places where they were missing. I have used washers in the past, but didn't want to do it for this piece. And they were ready to go. I spray painted the legs before I started priming, and then just used Kills, just a very basic primer, before I started with the chalk paint, knowing that even with chalk paint and even with 2 or 3 coats, it might still pull up some of the very old tannins and some water marks. This is it after it's been primered and prepped, and it is ready for the paint. Oh, those are the backs that will hold the mirror. And this particular color is called Serenity, and that's what it was. It's a very beautiful blue-green. I decided to frame it before I went ahead with the whole brush strokes that would take care of the whole thing. Once I had it ready, after each coat, I would take a 240 sandpaper with the detail sander and just make sure that it was very evenly distributed. I would have to do the same kind of whitewashing treatment with these drawers. I loved the hardware, but it was missing a couple of knobs. I had to do the best I could with replacing them. Definite wash in vinegar and salt, and then it would have to be, all the tarnish would have to be scrubbed off with the wire brush. After a 15-minute bath in the vinegar and salt, the tarnish comes off pretty easily. All right, once I had the finished frames, getting those mirrors back into place with care was a challenge. I used the best that I could to hold them in place. Paper, cardboard, just what they had done before to hold those mirrors in place. And I had to tap them back in with nails. Whitewashing the drawers, same process. Wax on, wipe off. Wax on, wax off. The drawers came out nice. I had to fix a couple of them just because they had some kind of veneer damage. I really love this color. I think I did 8 coats of polyurethane, maybe more. I always think if this piece were going in my home, I would want it polyurethane to the heck up because I'm a klutz and messy, and I can leave water rings on furniture without meaning to, even though I love coasters. Ready for the reveal? Just to remind you what it looked like before. It was beautiful, but neglected. And here's the finished product with the bench with the cushion.